during the George Floyd issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I was like, we should protest certain things, and I kind of wanted to stand in solidarity. That was my first thought. And then when I looked into the organization, and I saw BLM was really a communist organization, and you see the fist, and you look throughout history when that fist was put up, and then you look at
that's not a coincidence, my friend.
Oh, no, of course not.
Yeah.
And then you look at on their website, BLM, their agenda, one of them was to do away with the nuclear family. That's a communist, Marxist,
that's
staple.
insane.
It's a staple. And so, just that alone, if you look at something like that, where they're talking about doing away with a family, like obliterating it, which they've already done many ways in the Black community, around 75% of kids right now growing up don't have a dad.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's already being done, and we see how that's worked out.
They're kicking ass.
Yeah.
They're kicking ass.
It's pretty obvious what's going on. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh. And, they did it in a smart way, too, because they made it to where if you didn't support Black Lives Matters, you're a what?
A racist.
A racist, yeah. It's like, it.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
of course.
Really smart, because it divides people even more, and nobody wants to be called a racist.
Yeah.
And, that was a lot for me to unpack, because it was all of a sudden kind of a dance, and I didn't want to be called a racist. I kind of hit a point where I was like, screw it. I don't care what they think of me, because I know that I'm not that. It was an interesting thing to go through as a white guy, because all of a sudden a white guy that grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, who was on a Black fight team Lit Irvin, who has lived with a Black dude for the last almost 9 years, Scotty, Dedrick and I. Dedrick is our business partner. So it's like, I didn't think like that. And I had like an aha moment when I was walking down the street with Dedrick, and I was like, I had the thought, I'm walking down the street with a Black man. I'd never thought like that before. I was like, and I told him, I was like, damn, dude, I don't want to think of you as anything but my brother, but that was the programming, the propaganda had actually, got in my head.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. It's really, really smart.
Yes. This is the essential strategy of collectivism: divide and conquer. And what I'll add is, it's funny. You made me think of this quote by Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell says, "What do you call a conservative losing an argument to a liberal?"
What's that?
Racist.
That's fitting these days.
And this is where we're at. Again, if they can't back their stances with data, then they have to use culture, art, or a narrative that can just deem you as racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe who hates the poor. That's all they got.
Yeah, that is that.
Obfuscation. Yes.
That is where we're at, because the debates or arguments, they automatically call you, like I said, with Black Lives Matters, you're a racist. If you don't believe biological men should compete in female sports, you're a transphobe. It's either this or that. And there's a lot of nuance and gray in between there. And I'm super open-minded.
Yes, there's nuance and gray, but here's something that is black and white. When you come to a conversation, are you coming with good faith or not? And here's the thing, you either are or you either are not. And the problem with those on what we'll call the radical left, once again, is that they do not come to actually reach a solution. They don't want to actually have something resolute with you. They want to win. They want to find a way to strawman you. They want to insult you. They want to denigrate your position and insult your background or something of that sort, right? So it's like, I'm cool with any disagreement if you're coming in with good faith.
Well, but on the other side, because I don't think it's just the left. So I look at some of the comments on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And, I don't align with the hate that comes out of the right too towards people. It's like, come on, like that's not what I believe in or stand for.
Yeah, what I don't like about the right is the degree of hypocrisy. That's my problem with the right. But I will say, because I've gone on enough shows where when a person wants to derail and try to do this lowball insult when I'm not even coming at them with animus,
sure,
they tend to be on the left.
I do think it's both sides, but I also think that what you're talking about is intent.
Yes.
If someone has a bad intention, then they have a bad intention. We see it more from the left. Here's a thought though. I mean, do we see it more from the left? You're talking about your experience on podcasts. That's a good experience. But do we see it more on the left right now because of the algorithm that's feeding us these thoughts. I wonder that a lot because, we have our echo chambers.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we see these vile things
Yeah.
and we know that the propaganda is out there, but is it as much as we think it is? And I'm repulsed by a lot of what goes on. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to be open minded and think, is it propaganda to get us even more divided? Which I do think the algorithm is doing that. I do think that they've infiltrated our schools and like you're saying, our art. They've done a lot in music. I mean, my God, like you're talking about
They've
Beyonce.
infiltrated everything, man.
Yeah.